There are 4 nutrition myths that are so common in today's society that are holding so many people back from achieving their goals: weight loss, preventing chronic disease, having more energy, better sleep, and you might be one of them. I grew up believing all of these myths about nutrition pretty much most of my life, and when I learned that these were myths and not actually true, my entire health, my life changed. And I want to give you the truth today. I want to debunk all 4 of these myths so that way you can have better energy, that way you can show up better for your friends, your family, your kids, your loved ones, and just be an all-around better person. So the very first nutrition myth in today's culture is that eating too many animal foods is unhealthy. This is one of the most disastrous myths that we have in nutrition today. I grew up believing most of my life that we should be avoiding or not eating too many animal foods like red meat, dairy, and eggs. And that even projected into college when I studied nutrition at my university, that we should not eat a lot of these foods. We should eat some of them, but too many can be harmful. However, many of the healthiest cultures in the world today and in millennia past all eat a lot of animal-based products. Cultures like the Maasai and the Hadza of Africa, the Ikung Bushmen, early Native Americans, the Inuits of Alaska, the Chimani tribe, and even modern day cultures from the blue zones all eat plenty of meat with very little rates of chronic disease. In fact, there was even a recent review looking at data from more than 175 countries, and it found that meat consumption predicted longer life expectancies, not shorter. In contrast, the researchers also found that the cultures that ate more carbohydrate-rich foods had shorter life expectancies. But animal-based foods like red meat, dairy, and eggs have all been vilified for the past 70 to 80 years, really due to cherry-picked science and manipulated data done both by big food and big pharma. Now, there is some data suggesting that eating more meat is associated with chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cancer. But how we eat that meat today in today's culture, not like those indigenous tribes that I just mentioned, but how we're eating that meat today is completely different than how we ate meat just 100 years ago when our great-grandparents were kids. Now we get that meat that's fried in seed oils. That meat's coming from fast food drive-thrus. The animals are usually raised in pretty filthy, terrible conditions, not eating their natural diet. And the meat is also coming along with sugar-filled beverages and sweets and other ultra-processed foods. And the data that is showing that meat is attributed to all these poor health outcomes, they can't differentiate between the meat and all these other lifestyle factors that's going along with the meat consumption. And the problem with singling out meat and dairy and eggs as the culprit behind all of these chronic health conditions is that it inadvertently led us to decrease our consumption of numerous essential vitamins and minerals like zinc, iron, vitamin B12, choline, vitamin A, iodine, and DHA. All of these nutrients that I just mentioned are available in plentiful amounts in animal foods and are rare to find in plant foods. So if you want to have more energy, better health, prevent chronic disease, you need to do the opposite of what our culture says is healthy in a lot of ways. You need to be eating more meat, more dairy, and more eggs. Because eating meat in the context of a whole food-based diet and other healthy lifestyle factors, moving, getting good sleep, low stress, meat and all these animal foods will give you nutrients that will help to prevent cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, obesity, and more. Now, the second nutrition myth that is so common in today's world is that eating too much protein is unhealthy. People often believe that eating too much protein is bad for them or bad for their kidneys. But this is simply not true, and most people are actually not eating enough protein. Now, in the short term, there are some studies that show eating high amounts of protein will cause you to excrete more calcium from your bones into your blood. However, long-term studies show the exact opposite. They show that more protein intake, the more protein you eat, is associated with improved bone health and lower risk of fractures. In regards to kidney health, there are also studies that find higher intake of protein is associated with lower rates of kidney disease. And the two most important risk factors for kidney failure are diabetes and high blood pressure. And eating enough protein helps with both of those things. And like I just mentioned, a majority of Americans are not eating enough protein to begin with. And odds are you're probably one of those people. The current RDA for protein in America is just 0.36 grams of protein per pound of body weight each day. What that recommendation means is, for example, a 150-pound person would just need to eat 50 grams of protein per day. But this is so important to note. That amount is just the bare minimum you need as an individual to prevent muscle wasting as you age. And the major problem is a majority of Americans aren't even meeting this amount. It's been reported that 70% of women and over 50% of men aren't meeting these current RDAs. So the recommendations for protein are already set way too low, and a majority of Americans aren't even meeting them to begin with. However, more accurate and updated science has come out over the past several years, and it's found that ideally we should eat nearly 3 times as much protein as those current recommendations. We should ideally be eating 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight each day. That same 150-pound individual would need to eat 150 grams of protein per day, not 50. And if you're a 200-pound individual, you would need to eat 200 grams of protein each day. But when you're afraid of foods like red meat, dairy, and eggs because our culture says they're unhealthy and they'll lead to disease, it's going to be much harder to meet your protein recommendations. Eating more protein every day helps keep your blood sugar stable, it encourages more fat loss, it improves your hormones, and it protects and prevents muscle wasting as you age. So one of the best things that you can do is not fear eating too much protein. You should be eating more. Hey guys, if you like this content, be sure to hit that notification button below to get notified anytime we release a new video just like this. You're not going to want to miss it. Now, the third nutrition myth that is far too common in our world today, this is that all calories are created equal. Now, please hear this one. This might just be the most important one on this list. With marketing in full effect in today's world, a lot of people that are trying to be health conscious, make the right decisions, are making those nutrition decisions based almost entirely on macros and calories, rather than if that food is actually going to nourish their body. Here's the thing, 100 calories of a steak is completely different than 100 calories of an Oreo snack pack. The 100 calories that you're going to get from a few bites of steak, these are going to provide you with many vitamins and minerals that you're not going to get from these other ultra processed foods. It's going to leave you feeling full. It's going to nourish your hormones. It's going to nourish your gut microbiome. But the 100 calories that you're going to get from that Oreo snack pack or from these other ultra processed foods that you're going to find in boxes and bags that have a long list of ingredients, they might have the same calories. A couple bites of steak or the snack pack of Oreos, they might have the same calories and similar macronutrient ratios, but that ultra processed food is going to spike your blood sugar and is going to leave you feeling hungry not long after, because these foods are designed to hijack the pleasure centers inside of our brains, causing us to overeat them and not leave us feeling full, so we eat more of their products. This is going to cause us to eat more long term, and it's going to cause us to probably put on a little bit more body fat because we didn't actually give our bodies what it needed, and that was nourishment. Those were vitamins, minerals, protein, and healthy fats and healthy sources of carbs. Here's the thing, you will absolutely lose weight if you just eat fewer calories. If that's your goal, is to lose weight, you will lose weight if you just eat less calories. But the goal, please hear me when I say this, the goal should not be weight loss. The goal should be health gain, because you can absolutely just lose weight by eating fewer calories. But if that's your goal, you might miss the ultimate goal of gaining health, because you can lose your health by just losing weight. But if your main goal is gaining health, fat loss and weight loss will just be one side effect. It'll be one byproduct of becoming a healthier version of you. If you can eat nutrient-dense foods, whole foods that come with vitamins and minerals, your body will naturally feel full. You'll regulate your hormones, you'll regulate your gut microbiome, you will improve your thyroid function. All of these things are needed for sustainable weight loss, and you will lose weight and fat as a side effect of that. But if you are just eating less calories or eating ultra-processed foods that don't really contain many vitamins or minerals in them, then you might lose weight, but you're not nourishing your body. So the takeaway with this tip is to shop the perimeter of the grocery store. Focus on eating whole foods that you'll find in the perimeter of the grocery store, and avoid as much as you can the center aisles of the grocery store where foods, ultra processed food-like products, are really going to come in boxes and bags, have a long list of ingredients, usually contained processed sugar, seed oils, refined grains, and other products like that. Stick to eating real whole foods like fruits, veggies, red meat, raw dairy, honey, and fermented foods. Now, the fourth and final nutrition myth that many people believe today that is really hindering their health results is that seed oils are healthier than animal fats. Now, if you're really interested in this topic, we've already done a deep dive on several other videos talking all about this, so head back and check those out. Now, this myth that seed oils are healthier than saturated animal fats really started back in the 1940s when prestigious organizations like the American Heart Association, American Diabetes Association, and the US Dietary Guidelines all started encouraging Americans to consume more seed oils like canola, corn oil, safflower, soybean, sunflower oils, and start eating less of butter, red meat, tallow, and eggs. And it's this recommendation that is really keeping you unhealthy. Eating more seed oils is more than likely keeping your metabolism functioning low. It's probably causing you to not be able to burn as much body fat and have low energy. Now, to understand why this is a nutrition myth and why seed oils are touted as heart healthy, we need to understand who funds the American Heart Association and American Diabetes Association. Well, when you take a look at this chart, you will see many major big food and big pharma companies all directly fund the AHA and the ADA. In fact, this all started in 1948 when Procter & Gamble, who made Crisco back in the early 1900s, they paid the American Heart Association $1.7 million in 1948. That's the equivalent of about $20 million today. And not long after that, the American Heart Association released the first ever official document anywhere in the world encouraging Americans to reduce the consumption of animal fats and eat more PUFA-rich seed oils. For the American Heart Association to do that, was the science that clear that seed oils were healthier than saturated animal fats? No, absolutely not. In 1965, the American Heart Association should have retracted their document altogether when this study came out. In 1965, there was a very well-controlled study on corn oil, where researchers fed one group of patients 80 grams of corn oil each day. This is the equivalent of about 13 teaspoons, compared to the control group that didn't receive corn oil. Researchers had both groups avoid fried food, fatty meat, sausages, ice cream, cheese, cakes, eggs, milk, and butter, any foods that would raise their cholesterol. This study was originally designed to last 3 years, but they stopped it after 2 years because the corn oil group was dying and suffering from heart attacks at much higher rates. And the study authors concluded by saying that corn oil should not be recommended as a treatment for heart disease, and it is likely harmful. Right then and there, that should have been a sign that seed oils aren't healthy. But as the decades progressed, we got recommendations not only from the American Heart Association, but also from our own US dietary guidelines that we should eat less saturated fat and eat more seed oils. But you've also seen the Food Guide Pyramid, My Plate, that we should eat more grains, more carbs, and eat fats sparingly at the tippy top, and we should avoid all these saturated animal fats and eat more seed oils. Well, since then, we've only had skyrocketing rates of obesity, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and cancer and heart disease. And I should note that 80 grams a day, that 13 teaspoons of seed oils that they were eating in this study wasn't a lot. The average American today is eating over 40 grams of seed oils every day, or more than 9 teaspoons of seed oils every single day. So why do these organizations and advocates of seed oils say that they are healthier? Why do they say that they are beneficial and that saturated animal fats are unhealthy? Well, these advocates for seed oils often refer to the fact that seed oils lower cholesterol, they lower LDL cholesterol, and that just having elevated total cholesterol and elevated LDL will directly cause cardiovascular disease. But here's the thing, all the studies that show that are observational studies, and at best they can only show an association. They can't prove cause and effect. And these observational or epidemiological studies that can only show an association are very often easily manipulated, and they are funded in large part by big food and big pharma who have financial incentives to profit off of seed oils. Yet at the end of the day, there have been 16 massive reviews in the last decade alone involving hundreds of studies showing that when seed oils replace saturated fat in the diet, it does not reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease. Now, why is this a myth? Why are seed oils not better for you than saturated animal fats? Because seed oils are so easily oxidized. Seed oils are so fragile, the oils in them are rich in polyunsaturated fatty acids, and they easily oxidize, not just outside your body in the bottles, the plastic, the light that breaks them down, but inside your body when they are metabolized and broken down. And this oxidation of these seed oils causes the amount of oxidized LDL to raise inside your heart, inside your arteries. And it's this oxidation that is really the true culprit behind a lot of these major health issues. You can think of oxidation as similar to metal rusting. Now, here's the thing. Sure, seed oils might lower your total cholesterol. It might lower your LDL. When you go to your doctor and look on the labs and he'll recommend or she'll recommend to eat more seed oils, it's because they lower your total cholesterol. They'll lower your LDL, which is seen as your bad cholesterol. But what's really happening is that it's oxidizing a lot of the cholesterol that you do have. And over time, as we've seen in the data that we've talked about on past and previous videos, is that this oxidation over time leads to a lot of major health concerns. And cholesterol is a molecule inside your bodies that is essential. You need cholesterol. Your body makes it. Cholesterol is there to repair and to lower that inflammation. And it goes to the site of oxidation to really repair your arteries. So when these plaques are formed from cholesterol, it's there because the oxidation that seed oils are causing. And so it looks like the cholesterol is the problem, but really cholesterol is just there to help. So if you really want to help your health, remove seed oils like canola, corn, cottonseed, sunflower, soybean, safflower, peanut, and rice bran oils from your diet and replace them with healthier fats that we've eaten for millennia like tallow, butter, lard, ghee, coconut oil, olive oil, and even a little bit of avocado oil. So there you have it. These are the 4 biggest nutrition myths in our culture today that are preventing you from achieving your health goals. If you love this content, be sure to leave your favorite comment or takeaway below. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification button so that way you'll be notified anytime we release a live video just like this. And be sure to send this video out to somebody that you know needs to see it most, and I'll talk to you next time.